are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone to our DAAD webinar series 2015, getting a graduate degree at the University of Koblenz Landau. Thank you for joining us today. Before I get into the details of today's webinar, I would like to go over a few things. So yes, we will share these slides with you, and we also record this webinar so you can take a look at it later and review some of the details. And of course, you will be able to contact me and the presenter afterwards. Before we start, just a few details. If you are not familiar with the webinar application, you are all muted, but you can, of course, ask me or Dr. Horvath, who will be our second presenter today. You can contact us via the question section, and you just do that by entering your question and then you click send. And you're welcome to ask your questions throughout the webinar, and then at the very end I will ask those questions to the presenters. Now, who are today's presenters? So you're listening to my voice right now, and my name is Hani Geist. I'm the DAAD Information Officer here in the San Francisco office, and joining us today from Germany is Dr. Horvath, who is the Faculty Manager of the Institute for Environmental Sciences at the University of Koblenz Landau. And so today's agenda looks as such. First of all, I would like to talk to you a little bit about DAAD. Who is DAAD? What do we do? And then I will talk to you about 2 scholarships that may be of interest to you, and then we will jump in right into the most important part of this webinar, which is the University of Koblenz Landau. First, Dr. Horvath will give you a brief overview of the university itself, and then he will talk about 2 master's programs that are offered in English at the university, and that's environmental science and ecotoxicology. And at the very end, as I mentioned before, we will have a Q&A, and you're of course welcome to ask us any questions. If you can come up with any questions right now, and but you feel like asking questions maybe later, getting in touch, this is also not a problem. We have our email addresses at the very end of this presentation. So what is DAAD? Who is DAAD? Simply put, it's the higher education arm of the German government, and it's an independent association of German universities. DAAD provides scholarships and grants, which is probably for you the most important because it's open to all academics, all stages, and all disciplines. And yes, you are eligible to apply to a scholarship if you would apply to the University of Landau, even for a program that's offered entirely in English, so that is available to you. Besides that, we also offer information and counseling about studying and research in Germany, so you can always contact me at any point if you have questions, generally speaking, about being in Germany as a student, applying for the university just in general, all those questions that you may have. And of course, if you do have questions about studying in Germany, studying German in Germany, or German courses here in the United States, and where to get certain certificates to be able to study in Germany, you can always contact me for that as well. Here's just a little overview of the offices of the DAAD offices worldwide. So you can see, even if you're not in the U.S., there are offices in a lot of places. Actually, we have 70 offices. And if you are not a U.S. or Canadian citizen, you can always contact the respective offices for details for your country. But if you are in the United States, you're a student here in the United States, you can apply to the scholarships and grants that we offer here in the North America section. So I'm sure that Dr. Horvath will talk to you a little bit about why study in Germany, and of course why study at the University of Koblenz Landau, but I just wanted to briefly give you a few details and reasons why you should study in Germany. Of course, you probably have your own ideas and maybe you have your own goals, but there are a few things that are generally applicable. So first of all, the quality of education in Germany is very high, and most importantly, it's not only high, but it's either very, very affordable or it doesn't cost anything. Of course, if you are a U.S. citizen or a Canadian citizen or you're an international student, getting another degree in Germany or studying abroad in Germany, studying abroad in another country in general, is a great push for your career, and it opens up so many more opportunities in Germany or here in the United States, because in the United States there are a lot of German companies who, of course, if you do have German language skills, if you received your education in Germany, then that gives you a huge bonus. And of course, not to forget language and culture, that is great in Germany, and social life. And also for a student, it's a very safe country. In any university city, it's very safe for you to be a student. Now, DAAD scholarships, we do fund study abroad, internships, and senior thesis research. We offer monthly stipend or lump sum. As I mentioned before, they're open to students in all fields, and you do not necessarily have to speak German. Really, you have to speak as much German as you would need to do your research or to enroll in the program. And apart from the monthly stipend, you also receive health insurance and some travel reimbursements. The undergraduate scholarship, I left it in because maybe some of you may be interested in studying at the University of Koblenz Landau or other universities only for one semester or for 2 semesters, and you can use that undergraduate scholarship to do so. But the one scholarship that is probably the most interesting to you at this point, if you would like to pursue a master's degree in Germany, is the study scholarship for graduate students. You can apply to the scholarship in your senior year or up to 6 years after you receive your bachelor's degree. And you don't have to be yet accepted at the university in Germany. So you do apply in November, and then in May or June you would apply for enrollment at the German university, or depending on when the application deadlines are. You receive 750 euros a month, and depending on where you are in America, that is not a lot of money. That is roughly $850 at the moment with the current exchange rate, but $850 in Germany in most cities, if you have a roommate, for example, if you go to the grocery store and don't go out to eat all the time, for example, then $850 is quite a bit of money to live in Germany, and you can get very far. Most German students don't have more than 750 euros a month. And with the student status, you also get a lot of discounts for public transportation. So this is a very good scholarship, and you don't have to tap into any savings if you do receive this. And again, you get health insurance with it as well, and a travel stipend. The deadline is once a year in November, so please keep in mind about that. If you miss that deadline, unfortunately, you will have to wait another year. Where do you apply for those? Go to the Scholarships and Grants tab on the DAAD.org website, and you will find the scholarship there, and then all the details about eligibility, application details, and how to apply you will also find there. But of course, you can always contact me directly. As I mentioned, my contact information will be on the last slide after Dr. Horvath had a chance to present the University of Koblenz Landau. But before I'll pass on the microphone to him, just a few links. So the DAAD.org website is the website for DAAD North America with all the details about the scholarships that we offer. And I'm sorry, and the DAD New York is also our Twitter feed, and DAD North America is also on Facebook. And if you are not friends with us yet, if you don't like us yet, please do, because we share information about upcoming events, webinars, and for example, today's the College Week Live virtual fair, and DAD has a booth there, and you can chat with us. It's actually running now, but you don't have to panic. This virtual fair will be going on until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can just tune in after this webinar. And now, without further ado, I would like to pass the microphone on to Dr. Howard, who is currently in Germany. And I just need to get this mouse over to my other screen. All right, let's see how I can do that. That's not the one. Give me 1 second. I just need to bear with me here for a second. I need to apparently Dr. Hovard, are you able to change the presenter on your screen? Otherwise, I need another second here. And maybe while I change the screen, you can maybe introduce yourself.
I don't see anything on here that allows me to change my status.
That's perfectly fine. I will take care of that. But why don't you introduce yourself while I'll take care of this?
Okay. Well, welcome to the webinar, and thanks for getting up early and finding your way to a computer or a telephone to tune into this. My name's Dr. Thomas Horvath. I am the faculty manager in the Faculty for Natural and Environmental Sciences at the University of Koblenz Landau in Germany. And I'm going to try to introduce two of our master's programs that are taught completely in English that may be of interest to you as you move on to the next stage of your academic career. Can you see these slides at this point?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, like I said, I'm talking to you from the campus at Landau right now, and you can see some of the buildings on this slide and the nice hills and trees in the background. Looks a little bit different in the winter. But just to give you an idea of where Landau is, because most people don't know where Landau is, we are in this little corner here close to France, just a little bit southwest of Frankfurt, which would be the airport that most people would fly into if they were coming into Germany. But you can see that we're very centrally located. It takes no time at all via train or airplane to reach many of the major cities in Europe. If you wanted to go to Paris or Munich or down into Italy and Milan, it's really quite easy to move around once you're in Europe. To give you an idea of the topography of where we are, this is sometimes important for people who are interested in environmental sciences. You can see this red circle here that outlines the city of Landau. And if you look to the right, you will see the river there. That's the Rhine River. So we are essentially in the Rhine River floodplain. Most of the area around here is agricultural fields. So you see the outline of small villages and a number of clearly agriculturally used landscape. And to the west here, to your left, you can see that we suddenly enter a mountainous range. And this is the Palatinate Forest, one of the most spectacular areas of wilderness left in Central Europe. This area is by far one of the most beautiful areas of Germany. The agriculture that you were seeing in that previous slide is predominantly viniculture. That is, this is an area where lots of wine grapes are grown, and the area is actually quite well known for its both red and white wines because we have a relatively mild climate here. They often call this the German Tuscany. The Palatinate Forest itself, though, offers a number of outstanding outdoor activities. If you like to bike, mountain bike, or hike, or rock climb, this is definitely the area to be in. You can see the one picture off to the side. There are numerous sandstone and even granite outcrops that people use for these types of activities. To give you an idea of what's going on at the University of Koblenz Landau, the name suggests that we are actually two campuses, one located in Koblenz and one located in Landau. They're not particularly close together, so usually you would consider yourself only at the University of Koblenz Landau on one of the campuses. We have about 15,000 students that are split evenly among the campuses. I believe in Landau we're roughly at about 7,600 students at the moment. And we have a long tradition of developing educators, especially in the natural and social sciences here. But since 2001, we've started offering the degrees in environmental sciences here on the campus in Landau. On the campus, we have four faculties or schools. We have education, cultural, and social sciences, and then the one where these two programs that I'll be talking to you about are located in natural and environmental sciences. And we also have a faculty of psychology here. Within natural and environmental sciences is the Institute for Natural Science Education, the Institute for Environmental Sciences, and the Institutes for Mathematics and for Sports Science. The programs that I'll be talking about, again, are in the Institute for Environmental Sciences, which I'll give you a little bit more detail in a second. For those of you who are interested in undergraduate numbers, in our bachelor's or diploma students that are studying environmental sciences, this is in the German language, there are approximately 290 students that are in their undergraduate studies here. Within the graduate programs in the Masters of Science in Environmental Sciences, there are currently 44 students, and in the Masters for Ecotoxicology, there are currently 70 students. We do limit the number of students that are allowed into the program, so we try to keep these numbers roughly about where they are now, with the possibility of growing the environmental sciences program a bit. And that's to maintain a close interaction between faculty and the students. Let me just talk a little bit about some of the services that we offer for students that come in. Certainly we have residence halls that are located near campus, not necessarily directly on campus. And those are controlled by the student services or the Studierendenwerk. And you would be paying your rent, for example, to them if you were in one of the residence halls. On campus we have a cafeteria and what they call the Mensa, which is a relatively cheap place to eat. As Hani was mentioning, it doesn't cost much to live here. You can get a good warm meal for about €2 at the cafeteria here on campus. If you're a non-traditional student and you have kids, we also have a kindergarten that would be available for use. There's a nice library on campus. Has a very good collection of books and electronic resources. There's a computing center to help students get started on getting their technology in order. There are a number of sports facilities on campus, typical of most college campuses or university campuses. And what may be of interest to you is we also have a language center which offers individual coaching on different languages. So although these programs are offered in English, it would be nice if you had the chance to learn German while you were here during your studies, and it helps you integrate into the everyday life of the city of Landau. There are other sorts of offices that offer support for students. For example, the International Office, which offers a number of services for the international students and some of the international programs. But we also have a number of offices that are helping students with soft skills in terms of preparing for job interviews and writing up resumes and the like. We also have an entrepreneurial office, especially in the technology areas, this is sometimes useful. We have various sorts of counseling services, medical services and so on that are related to campus. And we also have a Knowledge Media Institute, which could be used by students if they wanted to create presentations or other sorts of multimedia presentations that would be associated with their degree work while they're here. We also have the Interdisciplinary Graduate Center, which offers workshops throughout the year that are related to job finding and other sorts of career promotion sides. Students are also here for students. There is a strong student union here on the campus of Landau, so students are actively involved in campus government. We also have a number of departmental student representatives that serve on various committees, which in environmental sciences is a very active group, and students that come in from the international side would also be able and willing to participate in some of the governmental organizations that are going on campus. There's a cinema on campus, and they also offer a film festival in the in the city of Landau during the year. The ISEC is a group, sort of an international group that helps students find internships and other sorts of job opportunities internationally. And we also have the IPASS, which is essentially a peer mentoring group that help students orient themselves in the city of Landau and in Germany in general, and help them get acclimated to the different culture. So let me talk a little bit about the Institute of Environmental Sciences itself. We're a relatively young group. You can see across this wheel that there are 9 professors that are involved in the Institute that would be offering the 2 programs that we're talking about. The person who has been here the longest has only been here for about 10 or 11 years, so most of the people are relatively new here and are quite an energetic group of professors that you would be able to interact with. The other thing that you should notice about this is that this is an incredibly interdisciplinary group. We have chemists, we have molecular ecologists working alongside physicists and geographers, and we even include environmental economists in the terms of environmental economics that offers the social science side of things. This is very unusual, especially compared to any of the types of departments or schools that you would see in universities in the United States. This interdisciplinarity is one of the 3 main characteristics that we have that we'd like to highlight in the Masters of Environmental Sciences, but also in the Masters for Ecotoxicology. The other side of that is that we are very practically oriented. We have a strong hands-on approach to teaching the students. So you do learn the theory, but you also learn the practical side of most of the theoretical work that you'd be exposed to. The other side of these programs is the flexibility. You'll see that you have the opportunity to personalize your education through your own choices of which courses that you want to take or areas that you would like to specialize in. The goal of this program is to graduate students that have the ability to look at complex environmental problems, and certainly environmental problems are definitely complex. You need this interdisciplinary context to be able to analyze and offer solutions to those environmental problems. To do this, you have to have a strong understanding of the natural sciences such as biology, chemistry, and physics, and so on. And that's what you're going to get in this program. But we also include that social science component because humans are an integral part of that complex ecosystem, and you can't solve those problems without involving humans at some point. Let me talk a little bit about the program structure of the Masters for Environmental Sciences, and then I'll move to the Masters in Ecotoxicology. You can see in this diagram here that this is a 4-semester program, so essentially a 2-year program. We start in the winter semester, which runs from October to February in universities in Germany, and a summer semester, which runs from April to mid-July or so. The other part of this is you can see that there's a required part or a compulsory part to this program. These are modules that you would take that all students that are in the environmental sciences program would take together. So you come in as a cohort, you move through these 5 or 6 modules together. Note on the back side here is a research training and internship module. Here's where you would get that real hands-on practical experience, either doing research at the university here or at some other university internationally, or you could be you might be interested in doing an internship in industry or a governmental agency, and we would help you find those sorts of opportunities. Within that intersection is the elective part, where you get to choose, and like I said, you get to basically personalize your program here. I'll talk a little bit more about some of those options in a few minutes. The fourth semester is made up of your master's thesis, so you're not taking classes at this point. You're just focusing on some aspect of your either writing or completing the research that you've started somewhere probably in the third semester. To give you an idea of what some of the courses are like in that compulsory section, you can see the 5 modules here in bold. But look at some of the course names. I don't want to go through all of these just for the sake of time, but since you can look at these slides a little bit on your own later, I decided I would put them all in. But you can see again this sort of interdisciplinary approach to the required modules for this program. So you're learning a little bit about statistics, you're picking up some environmental chemistry, you're looking at anthropogenic effects on ecosystems, as well as getting that environmental and resource economics aspect of this, in other words, the social sciences. What might be more interesting to you is the opportunity to personalize your program here. We require students to select 2 subject areas that they will specialize in, and within each of those 2 subjects they choose 4 modules. So for example, if you look at what we call the environmental analysis subject, there are 5 different modules that you could choose from. You would choose 4 of those modules. But you would also have to choose yet another subject area. So you might choose environmental analysis and applied ecology. In that case, you would choose 4 from environmental analysis and 4 modules from the applied ecology section. Or you might take a different approach and look at it from a systems aspect and take aquatic systems and soil systems. But there are numerous opportunities for you to choose an area that you feel you want to do take on as a career. The only downside here is that the one subject area, social economics and environmental management, most of those modules are still offered in the German language. So if you have the German skills, great. You might choose 1 or 2 of those courses out of, or 1 or 2 of those modules out of that subject area. But you don't have to have the German language skills. You can certainly have a wide range of choices even without having to do the German. If we look at the Masters of Ecotoxicology program structure, it's set up the same way. There's a compulsory part, and then there's a required part. And you can see here that there are a number of, a few more required modules. This is because ecotoxicology is a very specific area of environmental sciences, and it requires a little bit more detail in terms of the types of courses that you're going to get. What's unique about this program is this required applied module at external organizations. Here's where you're going to spend about 10 to 12 weeks working in an industry-type lab or a government-type lab that's focused on ecotoxicology. So, for example, you might work at BASF in their chemistry division, or you might work at Bayer Chemicals and work in their agrochemical area. So you'd be exposed to the issues that companies face when it comes to pesticide, herbicide development, and registration. You do have some choice in this. The optional module, you get to choose 2 modules from any of those areas that we just spoke about that are consistent also with the environmental sciences. And then it also has a master's thesis that would be your 4th semester. Your research project course that's located here in the 3rd semester is a lead-in to your master's thesis in this case. And that research can be done here at Landau, or it can be done anywhere in the world if that's what you want to do. Again, just to give you an idea of some of the courses in the compulsory mode, again, I don't really want to go over all of these, but you can see there is some overlap between ecotoxicology and environmental sciences. Both of them require you to take some statistics, some chemistry, but you don't see as much of the social sciences in this particular master's program. We do offer a good bit in geoinformation systems, or GIS. That's important in terms of modeling ecotoxicology types of exposures and effects. The important part about trying to study environmental sciences is that it's a very broad and highly applicable area to get into. There's no real single employment track because there are just it's a relatively new science field, and it's still becoming it's still sort of getting its feet under it in terms of what students are able to do when they leave an environmental sciences program. We've had graduates enter research institutes. Most of them end up in either industry or environmental consulting firms. Some have entered into government and planning agencies. There are also opportunities for students to move into like non-governmental organizations. Think of things like the UNESCO or the World Wildlife Fund. And you can even join political organizations from the aspect of environmental consulting. This degree also qualifies you for continuing your education in terms of a doctoral program. So if you get your master's in environmental sciences or in ecotoxicology and want to continue on to your doctoral degree, that is certainly, we're certainly preparing students to be able to do that. We'd like to say there are 7 good reasons to come study in Landau. Certainly both of these degrees have a strong future. Like I said, the job market is ripe and ready for students who are coming out with that have the ability to look at complex systems in an interdisciplinary approach. And there are certainly numerous jobs available both in Germany and internationally. We have excellence in research and teaching. The faculty that you saw in that wheel diagram of the Institute for Environmental Sciences are well known in their field internationally. They are publishing top research results in top journals, but they're also dedicated to teaching. We are still a relatively small institute, and that close contact that you would have with these people is something that you probably wouldn't get at a major research institution anywhere else. Number 3, we like that practical experience. Both programs have some sort of internship or research component that's designed to get the students actually off of campus and into real-life experiences. And certainly with the small program, there's that contact and interaction, not only with the faculty, but also with your fellow students. You are in the heart of Europe, and it's a great opportunity to learn multiple cultures or to travel when you're not having to study. And as Hani mentioned, we have moderate costs. There are no tuition fees at German universities. That is true of the University of Koblenz Landau as well. And we estimate the costs for students at they need about 600 to 650 euros a month to basically get by. And if you look at those DAAD scholarships, a 750 euro per month scholarship would put you in a very easy style of living in the city of Landau. The last component here is that you're coming in with a truly international cohort. We have students from just about every continent, and faculty and guest researchers coming in on a regular basis. So you have the opportunity to really create an international network, which in the job market these days is essential if you want to be able to be competitive. If you're interested in these programs, you're probably going to want to apply to the program, and if you want to know exactly what you need to have in your background to do this, you need a bachelor's degree or at least have to be in a time frame to finish that bachelor's degree before you would start the master's program. We're looking for students that have some background in environmental sciences, geosciences, or one of the other natural sciences, for example, biology or chemistry, physics. Most important for us too is that we have students that are strongly motivated to look at environmental problems from this interdisciplinary approach. We don't want people to just be great at science. We want people to be great at science as well as being able to interpret that science to the general public. It helps if you have a strong background in biology or ecology, chemistry, and mathematics in terms of statistics, although that is not necessarily absolutely required. There are bridge courses that you can take at the beginning of the program that would help ease you into some of those subjects that if you didn't have, for example, a year or two of chemistry in your undergraduate career. If you have physics, GIS, and some basic social sciences, that also helps, but again, that's not really required to get into the program. You have to be able to participate in courses taught in English, but of course, since I'm talking to folks here in the US, I don't think that should be an issue for you at all. But what will be relevant to you is that you will have to apply to the program through sort of a third party that is called UniAssist. And the link to that UniAssist you would find on the home page of the University of Koblenz Landau. I give you the overly long URL here on the website, hoping that if you're interested in this, you'll download this particular presentation and you'll be able to then follow this link. You can also Google us, University Landau or University Koblenz Landau, Environmental Sciences or Ecotoxicology, and easily find the route that you would need to find this information as well. The application deadline, we prefer students to come in for the winter term. We do allow some students to come in at the summer term, but that's very unusual just because of the way that courses are offered in their rotation. So if you're interested in coming to the University of Koblenz Landau for the winter term this year, your application deadline is July 15th. I know I've gone through some of this information relatively quickly. I'm hoping to give you as much time as you want for questions, but if you feel the need to contact someone, email is certainly the best way to do that. If ecotoxicology was of interest to you, then you should speak with Jochen Zubrod, and I've given the general email address here. He's a graduate student in ecotoxicology at the moment. In the environmental sciences, you would speak with Alain Philippe, who is a graduate student in the Environmental Sciences program. And if you have general questions about what it's like to live in Germany, what it's like to live in Landau, where do you find housing, other sorts of administrative matters, you can turn to our international office's Welcome Center here on the campus of Landau that's headed up by Marianne Kraft, who happens to be sitting next to me. So if you have questions in this area, she might be able to chime in and answer those as well. But I've also given her email contact. So at this point, I would say thanks for listening, thanks for staying tuned in, and I would be more than happy to answer any of your questions. And again, if you want to contact me, although I'm not directly related, linked to these programs as the other people on the previous slide, I'm certainly happy to answer questions or point you in the right direction. So let's open it up for questions if there are any.
Great, thank you. We don't have that many from the audience coming in yet. There is one question, but before I ask this one, I have a general remark. First of all, thank you very much for this very informative presentation, Dr. Horvath. I think that was a great overview of the campus, and now that I saw those beautiful pictures, now that I would like to come to Landau and spend some time there, and it looks like a very beautiful campus. So. Yeah, to those of you who are intrigued, please, you can find out more. One thing that I would like to mention regarding the application deadline, so the application deadlines for the universities, as mentioned, are either in January or it was July, right? June, July? Is that right, Dr. Horvath? The university?
Yeah, it was 15th of July.
Okay. So since, if you're interested, since you have to apply through UniAssist, please keep in mind that the deadlines mentioned here are not the deadlines for you to send in your application to UniAssist. UniAssist generally asks for your documents about 4 weeks before the actual university deadline. There is no date where you can start to send in your application, so you can do it way in advance, and I do encourage you to do it rather a week or two before than right by the deadline. So this was some important remark that I wanted to make. And then I would also like to say that if you receive a master's degree in Germany, I'm sure some of you may have that question, what you can do with it here in the United States if you decide to come back, or in Europe or Germany. So if you receive a master's degree in Germany, and you can go back to America. It will be accepted as a master's degree if you maybe decide to continue with a PhD, or if you just would like to work here. It is recognized as a regular master's degree, but the same applies to if you would like to work in Europe somewhere. My final remark is maybe that's also something you think about, what happens afterwards with the visa. I'm not the consulate, so I can't give you definite answers to questions, but I think it's interesting for you to know that if you do work on a master's degree in Germany and you finish your master's degree in Germany on a student visa, you do have 18 months after you graduate to find a job in Germany and to then get a work permit. So maybe this is also something for you to keep in mind, that if you do receive a degree in Germany, there are options to then look for jobs there, and there is this time where you can do that without worrying about your visa status. So those were the comments that I wanted to make, and then there are a few questions. And the first one is, how can students fund their master's program? Must they have their own funding? Maybe you do get that question regularly from students, so I would like maybe you to answer first, Dr. Horvath, or maybe if Ms. Kraft is there, maybe she can say something, and then I will add to that question.
Okay, yeah, we do offer some scholarships for students. This would, again, as Ani mentioned, you would need to apply as early as possible to be eligible for those. But in general, we don't offer stipends in the same way that American universities do. So we do expect that students would be able to support themselves while they are doing their studies here.
So yeah, and one of the reasons for that is also when you consider the low costs of living in Germany, and you haven't mentioned that, is the master's degree that you talked about, both environmental sciences and ecotoxicology, are those fee-based, or do students only have to pay a university service fee to enroll?
Yes, students only have to do that very modest student fee, which is about 105 euros a semester, but that also gives them the opportunity to get discounts on things like public transportation and so on. So you're paying that fee, but you're also getting some services for that fee.
Yeah, so this is really the scenario as it is at most universities, where students really, yes, they do pay something each semester, but what they get out of those fees is worth a lot, and it is very convenient for students to have a relatively comfortable living standard and living status without paying very much. So there are, if you go to DAAD.de, there is also a page dedicated to funding opportunities, other funding opportunities, but you can work as an international student a few days a year. That's 90 full days or 180 half days. So that's what most students do. Most students, they don't have scholarships because there are no tuition fees, and then just to pay for food and housing, most of them have a job on the side for a few hours a week, and but there are a few other scholarships that are available through DAAD. It's only the study scholarship that is available. And then related to the funding question, are there any scholarships unique to families with dependents? Do you offer anything that specifically supports families, or is that something that students would have to apply for, like, along with all the other students?
Yes, we would definitely take into account the family status for students when they apply to the program in terms of the limited scholarships that we do offer. So that would definitely be something that someone would want to mention in their application information. But in general, again, you want to be applying as early as possible in those cases.
Mm-hmm. And also something to keep in mind is that Dr. Horvath already mentioned that it's very student-friendly, but also keep in mind that Germany is very family-friendly, and especially as a student, you have a right for a kindergarten space. So, and it's not, you don't have to pay a lot of money. What you pay for a spot for your child in a kindergarten is actually, it depends on how much you earn. Since you don't earn very much, the fees are, especially if you compare it to the United States, are very minimal. So even if you don't have any additional special family support, just the support that you have from Germany as a country, the social support, you don't need that much money, and you don't need any additional special scholarships to cover that. Do you have any more questions? Because right now we don't have any more questions that I see here in my little question window. Maybe I'll give Dr. Horvath another chance to maybe mention something that was not in the PowerPoint presentation. Is there anything you would like to add, since we have a few more minutes and at this point we don't have any question?
I would again mention that the main focus of the program is this interdisciplinary area. So you're going to get exposed to numerous natural science as well as social science aspects. And again, it's these programs are fairly unique, especially compared to the universities in the United States in terms of the interdisciplinarity. You don't really have departments per se. We've created the faculty that we need to offer this interdisciplinary master's program. So.
Mm-hmm. Is there an opportunity for a PhD path? Because most, especially in the natural sciences here in the United States, most programs are master's and PhD path in one. Since we specifically talked about the master's degrees right now, is there an opportunity to get a PhD at the University of Landau, or is that something that students would have to go somewhere else for?
Yeah, both of the master's programs qualify students for admittance into a doctoral program. And Koblenz Landau, at the Campus Landau, we also have doctoral students that move straight from our master's programs into the doctoral program here on campus. So that is possible.
Okay, great. All right, well, that was very informative. Thank you very much, Dr. Horvath, for joining us today. I thought that was a wonderful overview of the university and of the two programs, the two master's programs. I don't have any more questions today, and it seems that the audience is happy right now and doesn't have any more questions. I would like to well, I don't actually need to do that. I will post both PowerPoint presentations, Dr. Horvath's and my presentation, on our DAAD webinar page, along with the recording of the webinar. In that presentation, on the last slide, you will have Dr. Horvath's email information again, and also my email information, and which is daadsf@daad.org. And I encourage you again, if you have time today, to tune in to our College Week live chat. If you have any questions about DAAD scholarships, about studying in Germany in general, if you have any questions, feel free to tune in. If you can log on, feel free to send me a quick email to daadsf@daad.org, and I will provide you with a registration link, but you should also be able to access the website if you just go to College Week Live. And is there anything else, any last comment that you would like to make, Dr. Horvath?
I'd just like to say thanks for organizing the webinar, and thanks to those of the audience who have tuned in to listen, and happy to answer questions. Feel free to email us at any time.
Okay, great. Well, with that, I'd like to finish up for today. Thank you very much for joining me, and Dr. Horvath, and I will send follow-up information with the link to the recording probably within the next few days. And with that, I'll say goodbye for today, and I hope to hear you soon in another webinar. Thank you.